Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and for this video, I want to talk to you about the 4 things that you should do with your money in 2022 to prepare for what's coming down the pipeline. All right, so the first thing that you should do is that you should save your emergency fund. I'm a big believer you should have a minimum of 6 months and up to ultimately what I believe to be a minimum of a year of an emergency fund of what your income is. Now, here's what I know. Too many people are exposed to way too much risk. People think that they're saving, but really what they're doing is they're investing for their future. And I mean, I've done a video called the Life 180 Pyramid video. I'll put it up here. You should check it out because the bottom line is it just goes to show you, even when people are saving what they think they're saving, it's in risky accounts. And so when you need it most, the values are depleted and you're compounding the problem by liquidating negatively performing assets, which just goes against and flies in the face of everything you're trying to accomplish with an emergency fund. So why am I so big on needing an emergency fund right now? Like, I want to break this down. The S&P 500 right now, and I just did a video on this a couple days ago, but the S&P 500 is about 26x price to earnings ratio right now. Think about it. That is about 100% overvalued from long-term historical averages. In fact, it's actually about the second highest that we've ever been as far as the PE ratios go. So what that's telling me is that we're about 100% overvalued. Now, that can happen for a couple reasons. I got into more detail in the other video, so I'm not going to do it here. But the bottom line is, even if it's the companies have the ability to increase their production and value creation by 50% from where we are right now, that tells me that we're in line for at least a 25% correction. So I believe in 2022 or 2023, and it may not be 2022 because it's an election cycle, but it very well could be. But I believe sometime in the next 18 to 24 months at the most, we're going to reach a period of time where we have a 25 to 50% correction. And I say that simply because it's not rocket science. Just look at the value and created and the value of the stock market, and it kind of speaks for itself. Now, the other reason that I'm a big believer that 2022 is going to be rough is Jerome Powell stated that they're going to have at least 3 rate hikes in 2022. Now, here's the deal. I personally don't believe a word that comes out of that guy's mouth anytime he's referring to the fact that he's going to raise rates. They will threaten that all day long. I've done videos on this before. I'm a big believer that rates, the federal funds rate right now is not low for my benefit and your benefit. It's low because of the government's benefit, right? We are almost $30 trillion in debt as a nation, and most of that debt is shorter term revolving debt, 3-year notes, right? Like, so when you look at that, if they raise the federal funds rate a percentage point, that increases the annual cost to service our debt by about $100 billion. So think about that. We can't afford to go up to a long-term average of a 5% federal funds rate, because if we did, that increased the cost to service our debt annually by about $500 billion. That is just way too much money. We can't afford it. Taxes would have to go up. The economy would struggle. It's just not possible. The bottom line is our economy, I don't care what they tell you, our economy is propped up as a house of cards right now, and rates are not going up. But here's what I do know, is that every time he even mentions that rates may go up, the market corrects, right? The market pulls back a couple points. And so, I don't know that I buy into what he's saying about them raising rates. I don't believe it. But in the chance that I'm wrong, it is something to take into consideration, because if rates do go up, the stock market will come down, real estate prices will be impacted, and the economy is going to struggle. That it could be the big domino that kind of gets everything going. And I guess they may pull back on the interest rate thing, but it's something to consider. All right, so now while you're working towards your emergency fund, if you're fortunate enough or strategic enough to make sure your emergency fund is built, or you've repositioned assets to make it so your emergency fund is capitalized, now you want to focus on what I call an opportunity fund. And the reason I think an opportunity fund is so important is because when hard times hit, access to capital is king, right? And what I mean by that is that while the emergency fund is designed to make sure that your lifestyle is never negatively impacted, what an opportunity fund is going to do is going to change everything for you. It's going to change how you show up in the world. It's going to change how you think about the economy, because when you're prepared for the downswings in the economy, you're not going to be fearful of it. You're going to be looking for opportunity, right? You're going to be looking for all the opportunity that exists, because when the market goes down, what happens is 95% of the people in this country have to make poor financial decisions just to survive. And so what that does is it creates infinitely more opportunity for the 5% of the people in this country that have access to capital and that are prepared to take advantage and be opportunistic about that environment. So when you look at this and you understand that markets are cyclical and we're at the long-term back end of a bull run, and you look at the fact that markets are so obviously so overvalued right now, what people are doing doesn't make any sense. So I would say this: if you benefited from the market going up, that's amazing, good for you, right? What I would say right now is that you need to take advantage of that. You need to put yourself in a position where you can lock those gains in, because if you have money in an account and it's in investments, those things are risky, right? That we saw multiple times over the past decade, they can go down really, really quickly, right? Now, what I would say to that is, if you go about this the right way right now, you can lock those gains in, you can lock in your emergency fund, you can lock in your opportunity fund. And while I don't know what your position is personally, and you should never take this as personal advice, and if you want that, you can call and talk to one of our people, and they can give you personal advice and help teach you how to build your emergency fund, how to build your opportunity fund, how to do all those different things. I'm telling you what I'm seeing from a principal perspective for me, that right now when I look at the overvaluation of the markets and when I look at what's going on, I would lock in whatever I can, and I would get my money reallocated to build my emergency, build my opportunity fund, and that opportunity fund will be utilized to capitalize on the market when it goes down, so then I can get bigger returns, potentially 100% or more over the next several years, by investing in the right assets at the right time. Now, once you have your emergency fund and opportunity fund built, what I would say to do next, and you could do this during it all, depending on your risk tolerance and all that stuff, is just a concept that I love, is investing in hard assets, right? Because here's the deal. We're in a high inflation rate environment, and I believe that over the next couple of years, inflation is going to continue to be high. So what happens is, investing in hard assets like real estate, for instance, cash flow real estate, what happens is you can bake it in that, that housing values based on inflation are going to continue to go up. Rent, cost of living is going to continue to go up. So put yourself in the path of progress there, and put yourself into an asset that the appreciation can go up, that the cash flow can go up, and you can bake those fixed variables into the equation when you do so. Now, the fourth thing I would say is just be patient, right? Because I said it at the beginning and I'll say it again, I'll reiterate right now. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know when the market's going to correct, right? Like, I think it's just, history says we're in for a big correction. This has happened before. History has a habit of repeating itself. I don't think any of us should be so audacious to think that we know exactly when it's going to happen. Kind of like at the COVID beginning, nobody knew that this was going to happen, right? Nobody knew that the pandemic was going to rear its ugly head on us, but it did, right? There's going to be something. There's going to be a big domino that kind of tips everything in a certain direction. I don't think anybody, or at least most people in the world, don't know. There might be one or two people in the world that know what's going on, but most people don't have a clue what that big domino is going to be. But we know there's going to be something, right? And what that's going to do is going to create a ton of opportunity. It's going to create a windfall of opportunity. So when you do this, you got to be patient. You got to make sure your money is in a safe, liquid, accessible place. You got to make sure it's not at risk, right? And when you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to put yourself in a position to reap the rewards, like I said, of gains that we're talking about 100, 200%. I've told this story on the channel before. One of the things that got me into this strategy is talking about exactly what I'm preaching to you right now. I met a guy named Corky in Florida, and he utilized this strategy. He was an entrepreneur, he was a business owner, and what he did is he utilized this strategy. He saved, he was patient, he believed that the correction was going to happen, kind of like the movie The Big Short. He was kind of like one of those guys who just saw it coming ahead of time. He saw the real estate market in Florida. He saw the economy kind of as this house of cards, And he said, listen, I'm going to just be patient. I'm not going to worry about all the other people in my circle bragging to me about the big gains that they're getting and, you know, having all this real estate and all this stuff. So he put his money, and he had plenty of emergency fund built already. He recapitalized his opportunity fund, put his money in a safe place, and he was patient. And when he was patient, in 2008, the market crashed. In 2009, he bought 4 condos. Check this out. 4 condos for under $70,000, between $60,000 and $75,000 a piece, I should say. So 4 condos for that range. And then by 2011, just a couple years later, he sold all those condos for over $1 million in combination. So think about that. Those are the opportunities that are created. And so what you can do is you can go out and you can follow the Joneses, and you could try to chase that 10% return, or you could put your money in a safe, liquid, accessible account that earns you, let's say, between 2 and 4% over the long run. Tries to keep up with inflation as much as possible, but it's really the liquidity and the accessibility of that money that matters the most, right? It's the fact that you're looking to be opportunistic. So what I would say is those are the 4 things that you should do. I really, truly believe, you know, listen, we're in what year 12 of a bull market. History shows that it's just a matter of time before things turn around and we have a massive correction because this bubble is overly inflated, propped up by money printing, propped up by government policies that just cannot continue. So that's what I got for you today. If you have any comments, any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I will do my best to engage. If you haven't already, click the bell, hit the subscription button, get notified every time I launch a new video. I'm having a lot of fun creating all this content. Hopefully you're finding value in it. Till next video, have a blessed, inspirational day. Talk soon. See ya.